Doris Peels. So this is another edition of 3D Printing News Unpeeled. And today we are going to be looking at, well, some interesting developments. Now, the first one is OpenAI, the company that has not been very far away from the news for months now because their ChatGPT release and all the shenanigans, creativity, and explosions discussion around machine learning and AI because of it have now released something called Shap-E or Shape-E. A couple of months ago, they released a Point E, I think it was, like a point cloud reconstruction kind of tool. Now this is a kind of refinement, new and improved, better version of that. And it is a tool that is hopes to generate 3D objects from text or images. These perhaps could be converted into 3D printable STL files. Now this is a download, so it's not a in the browser kind of thing you can play around with. You have to download the program. And it has three different modes. One is text to 3D, so similar as ChatGPT. Similar normally is you could just say a bowl of food or a penguin or a voxelized dog, and then a 3D image will be generated. Then there's image to 3D, where you can turn a 2D image into a 3D object. And there's encode model, where you can take an existing 3D model and move it, change it, mash it up into a new model. There's a paper to accompany this. All the code is on GitHub, by the way. And there's a paper to accompany this called Shape-E or Shap-E, generating conditional 3D implicit functions. The paper is by Hei-Woo Yun and Alex Nickel. And yeah, will this work? This is something we should all play around with, I think, because this could be potentially huge. Now, whether it works now for 3D printing, for if we can go from a word to a sentence to making, or a word to a file and then a 3D printable file, I don't know, right? But at one point, imagine like 5-6 years from now, it should be kind of like, conceivable that we can go from saying a penguin or a mug with Gothic letters on it saying Sarah, right, to a 3D printable file. And that could be absolutely momentous for us in the 3D printing industry, because that would mean that not only the 1 to 2 million people in the world, that kind of 1 million people that master CAD or 3D modeling, and about another additional million are kind of conversant in CAD and 3D modeling. Of those 2 million people, those are the only people that can create all they want with 3D printing. They can make exactly what they want. And the rest of the 7.8 billion people on the planet cannot. So this kind of a tool, or some kind of descendant of this tool, or some kind of a 5-year improved version of this tool, could become huge, because it could make 3D printing, or creating with 3D printing, or creating jewelry with 3D printing, for example, or creating 3D printing molds for food, or some kind of industry much, much bigger than it is today. So this is one of the ways where, machine learning, of course, it's all hype. Of course, it's all overblown and gigantic, but there may very well be very exciting things that remain behind of this. So the next news item is that Dubai is once again trying to become the kind of world headquarters of 3D printing construction. Right now, they're planning to create a 2,000 square meter mosque, which will accommodate 600 people, and it'll be by far the largest 3D printing building in the world. And it looks like it's quite a nice building, actually. It's really quite beautiful, and it looks like it's going to have 3D printed walls. We know that it is the Islamic Affairs and Charitable Activities Department of the government working with JT+Partners. We do not yet know who's behind it. Is it Holcim, or is going to do the materials? And we don't know what the 3D printing company is going to be doing this. We don't know if it's Cobalt, Icon, Apis. Who is going to be actually making this building. So not a lot of detail at the moment, but it's, we should take account is like, okay, what is Dubai, the other Emirates as well have done this for years now, become a shopping capital, make a lot of flights, stop off in your airport, build a giant airport, build lots of restaurants and malls, and then become like a shopping destination. And they seem to, they've tried to do it with financial services. They're trying to do it with shipbuilding and shipping and ports and stuff like that. It seems like the Emirates are up to the same old game plan again. And they're trying to do this with building the biggest, the best, the most exciting thing. And remember, they have a mandated minimum 3D printing construction percentage target in their regulatory thing, which is something that no one else has. So this is another move on that thing, and we do not yet know if this is substantive. We don't know if it's going to really move markets. It definitely is making them stand out amidst other companies, which are seen kind of like local government is very interested in 3D printing applications. You know, companies that do a lot of infrastructure are really excited about this, and from the commercial side, also on the government side. But national governments are more excited about other forms of 3D printing or metal 3D printing and these kind of things. So, you know, this could really give Dubai and the other Emirates a real leg up in promoting 3D printing in their area as opposed to anywhere, and specifically construction 3D printing. The next news item has to do with Abby Choi. Abby Choi was a social media influencer that was murdered a few weeks ago. And this is really shaken up Hong Kong. It was out of nowhere. The circumstances around it, I won't go into detail, but it's very brutal. It's very gruesome. And let's say the body was found in a terrible state. And this is a media firestorm in Hong Kong and you know, throughout the region and fanning out in the world, because it was a bit unexpected what happened, and it's all very dramatic and very sad. Now the family is thinking of, they're actually, or they seem to be going through with hiring a 3D printing firm to reconstruct her face for the memorial. So her body is in such a poor state that they want to have some kind of memorial, and they want that memorial. They want people to think of her as she was, let's say, more than as she ended up. So what's happening is they're trying to make a reconstruction, and they're using 3D printing and 3D scanning to do this. This is, to me, it's the first time I've heard of this. This may be a wonderful thing for the family to be able to see her in a more positive, more lifelike kind of way. We don't know if this is just a one-off thing and this is only these people that are going to do this in these special circumstances, but perhaps this could be something that more people will turn to in a time of their grief and anguish. So my name is Joris Peels, and this was 3D Printing News Unpeeled. I hope you found this useful. I hope you found this enlightening or in some way interesting for you. And thank you very much for your time.